You can think of it as big food, which is going to be Procter & Gamble, Nestle, Kellogg's. Then you'll have big medicine, which is going to be Harvard, the American Heart Association, all these different institutions. Then you're going to have the actual pharmaceutical companies making the drugs.
Right.
So you'll have big food, big medicine, big pharma. And in that, we'll call it the medical industrial complex, you can understand the corruption no different than that military industrial complex, which then makes you more aware of how to approach it.
Right.
Because then you know, well, most big foods are trying to poison me because they then want to send me to a medical doctor who's then going to prescribe medication. And all of them work in tandem the same way. I mean, Coke spends more money in studies and research funding than they do in advertisement.
That's crazy.
So they're funding research studies that essentially substantiate their claims that sugar's not that bad for you.
Yeah, but if they're funding it, then there's some fucking bullshit.
That's the point. And the majority of these studies that say red meat causes cancer, whole grains are good for you, all of these studies are, if you look, that's the thing.
Remember, eggs cause high cholesterol?
And most people don't even know how to read studies. And so when they see the headline and they see it's on PubMed, they automatically assume whatever the headline is the end-all be-all of that study's conclusion. But you have to read not only the entire study, you have to be able to comprehend the graphs, be able to do data analysis in what you're actually reading. You then have to look at all of the special interests involved, which there's a term for it in the studies, conflicts of interest.
Right.
And so you'll look at this conflicts of interest.
Yeah, because who's supporting the studies?
And
who's
you'll see
funding it?
Kellogg, Nestle, Coke, Procter & Gamble.
Yeah.
And so in knowing that
Why are they funding it?
Because think about it. If you have a business where you're able to sell something cheaper and in more abundance, you're going to do everything in your power to keep that profitability in your business model. And so what you had happen is you had the Great Depression and World War II, which incentivized the government to preemptively take the measures to make sure none of their people starve. And they ended up realizing, because this is something they did, they said, we're going to pay the farmers. We'll pay the farmers a certain amount of money to produce us a certain amount of crops. That way we ensure that we're always going to have food, not only for our people at home, but for the people we send overseas. And so the government ends up making a deal with the farmers, not trying to do anything negative. They're trying to do a positive thing. But after the war is over and after 10 years, when society in the 50s starts getting back under its feet in America specifically, they've already signed this 20, 30-year deal with these farmers where they now have to maintain their word, continuing to buy their crops, buying their BS, which further incentivizes a certain business model.